Welcome to the Just Contradictions channel. It's your guy Breeze here. What I do here is provide my take on arguments and debates I've seen in the media, past or present, and I provide my take on things that just don't make no sense to me. In this video, I'm going to react to the JBP response to the Native Land podcast comments on the Flip and Mark viral moment. It's a lot to get to in this exchange. I think this is life's way of holding a mirror up to the JBP cast. I think a lot of lessons can be taken from this.
No, they having those conversations because Mark is deemed an academic and an intellectual, which you
well, he is, not deemed,
no, I said what you are. So now it's, yo, why is he even there? Like Angela Yee said, yo, Mark, just come home.
Angela Rye.
So essentially, some of the Native Land pod members think Mark is too good to be amongst the cast at the JBP, and they don't understand why he's there. Let me tell you why Mark is there. Mark is there because he can't move the needle like Joe Budden can, and neither can y'all. Mark is there to try to garner some of Joe's audience and make some of them his own audience. In my opinion, Joe and Flip didn't go nearly as hard as they should have on this. When someone comes at you with ignorance, it's only right you return the favor. If I was Joe, I would have been the most arrogant rich nigga in this moment because the action called for it. I would have laid out all my accomplishments from the start of my career to now and see if their accomplishments stack up against mine. I let them know how many people come in and tune into my pod weekly. My pod that isn't guest-based. So my pod is essentially just me and my friends talking about topics, and we garner an audience this large weekly. I would let them know that when I started, I was a laughingstock, but now everyone follows the blueprint I laid. Then I would ask them, have you done anything of the sort? Then I would have politely let them know I own my own network, and you work for theirs. And to realize who you're talking to when you talk. Finally, I let them know I know the power in saying no when nobody else would. I know the power of passing up on a check that would pay me a lot but would relinquish me of my power. And I asked them, do they know these powers? This is like the age-old white-collar worker looking down upon the blue-collar worker because his white-collar work comes with a certain prestige. This in itself is dumb and ignorant. What people fail to realize sometimes is some of these blue-collar workers have long money. I mean long money. And a lot of the time they get to the bag quicker than the white-collar worker. These blue-collar workers usually have their own businesses. Like Joe said, it takes intellect to run your own business.
But again, don't tell me that you are pro-black and then want to highlight the very, very, very worst of the best black podcast that there is. I'm just not buying it. Words and actions need to align.
No, I feel you. I think we're all guilty sometimes of not doing enough research on clips or on shows when we make opinions.
That's true.
I think that's all of it.
That's us too. Get it.
We're in a professional response business, so that happens sometimes.
Nah. Y'all tried to just skate over that. Y'all probably the worst at getting half stories and broadcasting the wrong information to the masses. And y'all try to cover it up by saying y'all not journalists. Nah, that ain't gonna fly. Don't nobody want to hear that when you spreading wrong information about them. All the stuff that y'all mad about the native pod for doing to y'all have done the same to other people on the pod at some point with the topics y'all discuss. And the thing that's so bad about it, y'all be wrong about stuff, but be on y'all phones constantly during the pod. A quick Google search would clear up a lot of this stuff. It comes off as lazy podding. They are only triggered because they are the ones being talked about. When they are the ones doing the talking, it's all fine and dandy. This is exactly the point Imani was making when he talked to Ish about rewatching the pods. If they all go back and rewatch the pods, I guarantee if they are being honest with themselves, they will come across numerous incidents where they will be guilty of doing to others what the native pod did to them.
What happened with Flip and Mark is contextual, and if you don't watch the pod, which none of them admittedly do, you don't even understand the argument that was taking place.
And this is where my problem comes in the so-called intellectual community and thought process. Not watching or citing your sources is a huge red flag. You can't just spitball some shit and then claim you're an intellectual, or go off a 30-second clip and claim you're an intellectual. Like, if you don't watch the podcast and admit that you don't watch the podcast and admit that you only see it in clip, and I didn't watch their podcast, so I can't speak on that, but if that is indeed the case...
That'd be ironic.
I know, right?
They gotta stop. The very thing Parks is complaining about the native pod doing to them, he proceeds to do right back to them. But he still wants to complain about them doing it because he thinks it's so different because they say they are intellects. Make it make sense. The JBP audience as a whole is bigger than that of the native pod. So wouldn't it be important for y'all to be right on what y'all talking about as well? You don't get a pass for spreading misinformation to millions because you say you're not an intellect. Ish has to stop as well. Ish is always the one making a judgment on a topic even though he didn't watch the video pertaining to the topic. He did this when they were discussing the Monique Shannon Sharp interview, and he just did it a few pods ago. And Joe told him, Ish, I wish you wouldn't make a comment on something you didn't watch. Again, these guys are only mad because they are the ones being talked about. Now, they could take this in as a valuable lesson and apply it going forward, where they get all the facts when speaking on something, and they make sure not to judge a book by its cover. Or, after this blows over in about 2 weeks, they can continue doing what the native pod did to them to others. If you like the content, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.